welcome, viewing several once again to another episode of this little series I like to call Hands Up, Who Loves a Train Set? Obviously me. Now today, this episode is going to look at this, which is an early 60s Triang Railways set, RS29, which is a passenger set. And it has this rather splendid 460 B12 locomotive and a couple of passenger coaches, and you get some track as well. So I bought this fairly cheaply. It was not in the best condition. I can't remember how much I paid for it. It wasn't that much, and I had to do a little bit of work to get the locomotive running, and the box is in fairly poor condition, but you know, these things are, would be from 1963-64, this particular set, so it's over 60 years old. It does come with the Super 4 track. So in a couple of episodes ago we looked at another Triang set. I think it was the RS4 or the R4, I can't remember, and yeah, RS4. That had the System 3 track. So this one is that would probably have been a couple of years earlier, and so in between that one coming out and this one coming out, they moved over to the newer track system. So what we'll do now is we'll just have a quick look inside the box, and then we'll I'm filming this after I've done a lot of the other stuff, because I had to get the loco running, so and that was a few days ago, so I can't remember exactly what, when I put it together with the editing, you know, it'll be, if I say things twice, it's that'll be the reason why. So without further ado, I'm gonna have a look inside the box. Right then, so as you can see, we get this track, which I talked about this before in another video. This is the later Triang track, the Super 4. It's a more realistic track than the System 3, but I haven't really had time to clean this up yet, and most of it's okay. There's one or two, I think, pieces that need some repair, possibly some cleaning, but I've got quite a lot of this track. The only problem is it doesn't fit on this desk, so I'm going to run it on some different track for the purposes of this video. As it turns out, I will run it on the System 3 track from the other Triang set that I showed in a couple of episodes ago, and then also I think I was originally going to run it on the Loco tiny loop, and I do run it on that with some wagons, and I had some problems with these coaches, but I realised what it was is these wheels had popped out of their bearing holder bits, you know, the sockets, and it wasn't the track at all. So these coaches are quite nice for the time, you know. They're given this was the early 60s, they're corridor coaches in blood and custard, very plasticky bogies, and you know, but there's nice coaches for the time. It's not until recently that they've improved them. I mean, all through the 70s and 80s, Hornby coaches and Lima coaches were no better than these. Probably could do with a bit of cleaning up, but you know, it's patina, it's an old set, so I don't always get the dust and dirt off. It just depends. So that one's your brake coach. I think also because they've got some blacked out thing. Maybe that's where the toilet is. So yeah. So this locomotive, right? This is the tender, and I had to actually get the drawbar for this because it was missing. So that screw's pretty shiny. You can see I've just replaced that and the drawbar. So that finished off my chances of running it the other day. As you can see through. There's like that sort of gap there. A lot of some of these this model had the smoke unit in there, and you'd be able to see that through that gap, but this obviously doesn't have it. So yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. I've done some filming, a little bit of filming on me running it in and getting it serviced, so I'll move on to that next. And I think before I do that, I might show it next to a later Hornby version of the same tooling, but a later version of this locomotive in a different livery, just for comparison. So let's go to the next bit. Right, so when you buy an old train set, it's always worth having a little rummage around in a box under the trays and everything like that, because often you find additional bits and pieces that may be of interest or they may not. I've found all sorts of things over the years, little bits of signs and other accessories. So we've got, I don't know if he's called Bert or Fred, but he's got an arm missing. That's his driving arm, but he's one of the standard Triang driver sets. It looks like someone's had a crack at painting him, because when I've had these before, they've been in plain black plastic. We've also got this really cool piece of Meccano. That's going to come in very handy, I think, for joining baseboards. I kind of like, every time I go anywhere, I'm always on the lookout for big boxes of these, because these things are incredibly useful. And you used to be able to buy little pieces of metal like this in the DIY shop for joining, you know, cupboards together or whatnot. And they've got so many uses, and I always think that it would be great if they made a bigger scale Meccano, you know, for adults, that you could kind of build things you could sit on and put an engine in and stuff like that. I know that you could also used to be able to use like Dexian shelving as like kind of big Meccano, but yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then we've got a broken one, but also a complete one, and this is the Triang luggage trolley. I don't know if you can see it, it's probably not, but it's R146 or R148 Triang, made in England, and that one is the trolley that goes with it. It's actually got a little coupling that goes in there. So I've never seen one of those before, and I think I've seen them in the catalogue, but I'll have to look that up in more detail, find out when they're from. So they're the kind of interesting extras that I found in the bottom of the box. Right, just a very quick look here. So this is the one in this set, which is an early 60s, and it's marked Triang. And then here we have this one, which has got a much nicer paint job. This one is marked as Triang Hornby, so that dates it at between 1965 to 73 roughly. Now some of these I believe had a chuff box, but this one doesn't. My Flying Scotsman from this era has got the chuff tender, which really is just a cam with a piece of kind of sandpaper, and as it goes round it goes fuff fuff fuff, and uses the tender itself as a sort of sound box, acoustically amplifying it. And actually I find them quite fun, and I've also just ordered a 60s Triang Ginty, which has got the smoke box in it, so I want to see what that's like. As you can see, that one's got the gap through there. The ones that had the smoke box fitted, you'd be able to see like the die cast metal of the smoke unit through that gap, so I know that that isn't fitted. So yeah, you can see this one is for a very old locomotive. It's in amazing condition, although I don't know whether somebody has picked out these additional details or it came like that, but it's quite a nice looking model. I bought this for about 20 quid. it did need some replacement screws. Now the brass screws in these, I've had to replace the drawbar was missing, so the new screw in there, and some of the screws in here, I think it was the screw for this pony truck, had just snapped, and luckily the die-cast chassis, it goes all the way through, so I could just get a screwdriver or a drill and just turn it and just push it out the bottom, so there was no need to kind of drill out the, you know, physically kind of drill a hole and extract the screw that way. It just, with the power of a small drill bit, just spun it out and it dropped out. So yeah, so this one, but you can see how clean this looks, and I've no idea whether this this one is, but it's exactly the same tooling as this, but this one you can see looks considerably more filthy and simpler, but I kind of like it. I think it looks good. It's kind of grubby. So yeah, I think if I'd have remembered, I've done the running, I've already filmed that bit, I could have run this one as a comparison, but this does run, it's fine. So yeah, we'll move on to the next section, which I'm going to show you what I did to this one. I think I've got some filming of it being serviced, so we'll move on to that bit next. Right, so as a starting point, we'll just see where we are before we do anything. So I'm going to put some power down. So it's a runner. It obviously could be improved, but build up the speed, and then we'll come back. There's a bit of a ozone smell coming off of it, which is the smell of Scalextric and train sets from my youth. Right, in this direction I think it's going to need a bit of encouragement, but it does turn. That's full power. So in my experience, this probably just needs a bit of lubrication and a clean. It might need remagnetising. It's usually not the case for Triang stuff. The interesting thing about this is I've got a B12 like this in LMER lined green, like the apple green, and it's a way better model. I don't think it's that much newer. I think this is early 60s, about 62, 63. The other one that I've got has still got quite coarse wheels. It doesn't like modern points, but it's a lovely Loco, and I think it's probably 73-ish, I think, or it could be as late as early 80s. But yeah, this is a very crude one with the old wheels. It all needs a clean, but this is our starting point, and as you can see, we'll flip the direction. It's not too bad, is it? I mean, considering that's 63, 4 years old, whatever. I don't know when it was last run, but this is okay as a starting point. So I'm going to get the top off of it and apply the usual oil and cleaning, and we'll see what it's like after that. Right, here we are. We're running backwards. So we've applied some oil to obviously these little parts here and the bearings. That bearing there on the motor, and a bit of this kind of very light machine oil stuff to the worm drive. I've cleaned the wheels, cleaned the commutator, so we've got some of the filth you can see there. At this stage I'm not going to do any more than that to it, because I could take it completely to bits, but clean everything, do a full, you know, put everything in a cleaning bath or whatever, but I'm just not going to do that. So I'm just going to switch direction, and then we'll run it up full whack, and then we'll bring it down to a minimum speed, and you can see that's pretty smooth. I think for an old train like this, I think that's fair enough. I'm not really planning to, I mean, I could spend a lot more time, but it's probably not going to be much better than that. Switch direction. Now direction switch needs a bit of encouragement occasionally, but it's not something I'm too worried about at this stage. It will get running more, but I think for now that's pretty good. Not quite sure what's going on with this focus. Let me just see if I can. Is that better? It's kind of yeah, it doesn't really like this. I really should get a proper camera. I'm just using my phone, and but there you have it. I'm okay with that. I think we'll put the body back on, and we're going to call that done as a basic service. I think that's fine. So let's put it back together. So to put it back together, it's really just a case of putting it on, and then there's just one little screw at the back that holds it on. Now in terms of this body, this could be cleaned up with soap and water and so on, but you know, sometimes with these vintage pieces, I like to leave the patina. It's almost like it's got its own weathering it's had naturally over 60 plus years. So for now I am going to leave this as it is. I might decide to give it a soak and a clean with a toothbrush, but to be honest, you know, that's kind of like, it's kind of auto weathered, isn't it? So I'm going to leave it like that for now. And this camera's pretty poor, isn't it, in terms of focus? I don't quite know what's going on, but yeah, so we'll put that back on and we'll call that done. So, in terms of other stuff, I've just noticed when I married up the tender that there is no linkage bar. That's just stopped because this track, it's just this rolling road that's the thing. So there is no piece that links the tender. So I'm going to have to get one of those, or maybe make one, I don't know, but there should be possible to get one fairly easy. But what it does mean is I'm going to have to shelve this bit of filming for this episode for now. Right, we're on the track now. There we go. Here's the thing. I had the Loco loop set up. You'll see that in the Brucie Bonus when I get this train to tow a long load of wagons. I had some problems with it. It turns out these carriages, the coach bogies, the wheels had been dislocated, and that's why they weren't running. But I thought anyway I would get this Triang track out. Now this is System 3 from an older set. It fits on here. The Super 4 loop that comes with this, there's two reasons I'm using it. Number one, it's absolutely filthy and there are rusty and missing fish plates. So it's a project for another day. And secondly, it's too big a radius to fit on this track, on this desk anyway. So I've tried this, it seems okay with this. So you can see the splendid custard and blood, or whatever they call them, coaches, and so we'll get her going. So it's a little bit, if it speeds up and slows down, it's mainly because of this radius being too small for it really, but it's enough to show it in action for now. So we'll get it sped up. Right, that's full speed on this gauge master. You notice it goes quicker on the straight. I think that's just because of the, as I said before, I think this connector is a bit, these wires, they could be a bit better in terms of resistance. I think I'll prove that. You'll see how much faster this runs on the other track, and I haven't got these horrible old wires. But I mean, this is just set up for now to demonstrate it, so I'm not particularly bothered. I probably won't ever use this in anger, but there we go. So it will go pretty slow. So that's not bad at all. It will run a lot better when it's on a less of a sharp radius. So there we go. Right, for your Brucie bonus, I'm going to run this pulling some wagons, but I've already filmed that. That's on the Loco loop, and I think I've also got a class 25 I demonstrated just for the hell of it while everything was set up. Right. Welcome to your Brucie Bonus. Your Brucie Bonus. Welcome. Now the rule with that is it has to get more stupid and long-winded and ridiculous each time until I give up on it. But anyway, here's the Brucie Bonus. I'm going to run this towing a whole bunch of wagons that are in my kind of cheap 00 low-end wagons. I've actually got a load of Triang wagons. Most of them put away are in the boxes with other sets, so these wagons are just in the kind of parts bin, or I keep them in these boxes. The plan is I might actually try painting and weathering some of these as an experiment, particularly this hideous Mighty White one. I think I'm going to paint it brown and then weather it and just see, what I can do with it. But they're useful to have just to test, pulling power. So we've got the B12. And I'm going to run it with this long train. So it does run on this radius. It's a little bit too small for it really, but these older Locos, they do run on small radiuses. The main thing you have with these older ones is the compatibility with modern track is that the wheels are often too coarse, the flanges are either too deep or they're too wide, so when you go through modern points you get a short. So I've got a feeling that I've got a later B12 in LNER green, and I'm sure I seem to remember even that used to short the points out, the modern points. So we're getting up to, dare I run it at full tilt? Yes I do. So there we go, that's full speed. Thundering. An accident waiting to happen. So that's not bad, is it, really? I mean, yeah, it's on the Loco track, but it's a bit unrealistic on the corners, but this is really just to play with it. It's you know, to test it out and so on. I might give this a bit of more of a clean up, but as I said probably before, I kind of like that, you know, patina of dirt, because it is kind of like real weathering. But yeah, I did used to like, these are the sort of wagons I would have had as a kid in the 70s and 80s. And I've always liked them. But looking at them again now, I can see that they are a bit, well, not shit, but toy-like. Particularly, you know, those tanker wagons. But even these, there's nothing, you know, they're completely flat, plain and smooth inside. And yeah, I'm beginning to understand now. I've seen more and more modern stuff. I know it's expensive, and these wagons, you know, they cost you like 50p to a pound, £2 each, and they're great for this, you know, just running around a circle like this. But I actually started to understand, and I mean, I like toy trains and train sets, but I do kind of, I get where the more serious models are coming from, because this really is showing its age and simplicity. But, you know, what a lot of fun it is. It didn't cost me very much. I think all of these wagons and this locomotive, and even this track, which I didn't buy new, and not even, if you add all of that up, it's nowhere near the price of either. It's probably buy you one wagon of a, you know, like a detailed wagon. So, you know, he pays you money, he takes your choice. So I'm just going to stop this one, and the other thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to just quickly show you that I've got this one running, and I had to cannibalise another one of these and make one good one out of two. And so we'll stop this one, and then we'll show you a bit of that one. Right, let's give this Class 25 a little run. As I said, I've got this one running last night, and I had some problems with the you can buy replacement motors, modern motors, that just replace the ring field, and I did that on this, and then I took it out again and put it in my Class 43 high-speed train when I was getting that converted to DCC, and that was an old vintage one. And this one, I don't know, I just couldn't get it to run, and every time I put the power on it, there was a massive bit of burning kind of ember between the commutator in the gap, and I tried everything I could think of to clean out those gaps, and I just couldn't get it clear. Every time it would run and then it would stop, and you'd see something glowing and then smoke would come out. So I just took a bogie out of one that wasn't working, that's kind of in bits, and put that back together and give it a service, and now this is running nice, you know. So we'll speed her up. So these little ones, these little short bobos like this and the Hymek, I think are pretty good if you've got limited space and you don't want to just run an 040. I mean, this one runs on here, but, you know, because of the way this is set up, you're always turning at an angle. But this is less apparent when you've got bogies close to one another. It's not too bad, that. You get away with that. Right, let's go up to full. So this one's not as fast. I'm not quite sure why that is. Obviously it's got a lot smaller wheels, and the drive wheels are much bigger on that, so maybe that's why it is. And, you know, other gearing factors. But actually I got this working, and these wagons are just As I say, they're just to test out stuff. I thought I'd just find all the... I've probably got more, but you don't want too many more. You don't want it like... You got to have a bit of a gap. But for me, this is very relaxing just to watch this go round and just speed it up, slow it down. If you want to do shunting, I've got other things I'm building for that, but sometimes it's nice just to have something to run round. So yeah, that in the end, I had converted this to DCC, but the problem was the motor was just in such a... I serviced it, I just couldn't get it to run, and like I say, it turned out it was shorting out 2 parts of the commutator, but I still don't know why, because under a magnifying glass I can't see anything in there, and I scraped it out, cleaned it, and it's still doing it. So that motor I think is scrap. But the other motor wasn't running, and it turned out to be another issue to do with the gears and pickups in my kind of scrap one of these. And I thought, well, we'll just have the motor out of that. So there we are. It's the motor, not the bogie frame, but the motor, Ringfield motor in the housing. But it still needed servicing and new brushes. And I put it in here, and I'm now pretty pleased with that, actually, because I am going to have a big loop of 00 cheap stuff in my shed at some point. So this one's definitely going to be part of that. So there you go, that's your Brucie bonus, and I'll see you in the next one.